Hi everyone, it's Lindy from Pink Whisper Designs. Today I thought we'd make this cute little rustic ornament using one of the freebie sets from Art Impressions, and I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go along. So let's go ahead and get started. So here are the little freebie stamps that I was referring to, and the current offer is with every $30 purchase you receive one of these freebies. And we're going to be using that cardinal today, but I'll flip through so you can see all the other ones that are currently available. I'm not sure how long this offer is good for, so if you want any of these, you might want to jump in and make that purchase right away. And I will link that down below for you, as well as all of the other products I'm using today. Let's take a look at the paper. We're going to be using the Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth Premium White Cardstock, and this is for alcohol-based markers. So I've placed them in my MISTI stamp positioner, and then I've got the Spectrum Noir Finesse Alcohol Proof ink in Noir Black. So let's go ahead and stamp this image a couple of times. And you'll see that this is a pretty nice size cardinal, so it really is going to work well for our project today. Now for coloring, we're going to use the Spectrum Noir Tri-Blend markers. These are 3 colors in one marker, so you get the light, medium, and dark. It's all incorporated into the one marker, which I love because then I don't have to decide which colors I need to use for blending. There's the dark red blend, which is DR1, 3, and 4, and then the dark red shades, which will be DR5, 6, and 7. So you get a nice variety of shades. Again, all of that thinking process has been done for me, and so it makes it really easy to do your blending. You don't have to sit and try to figure out which markers you need to use to get a nice blend. All the work has been done for us. So I'm just going to start off with that lightest color. And now, since I do have a variety of the shades from 1 up to 7, I can really kind of blend this out the way that I want to. Now normally I would go to that medium color, which is in the middle next, but since I do have those darker shades, I'm going to go to the dark end of this pen or of this marker, and we'll start adding a few little shadows here. And now I'm going to grab that darker series of color, and I'm going to start adding a few more just right along the edges here of that darker color. So play around with these. You can have fun kind of mixing and matching these together. It doesn't mean you can't mix in your other markers with these colors that you already have. You certainly can. For me, again, I find it really easy that all of the thought work has been done for me. So I'm just going back to that lightest color and quickly blending. And now I did realize I do need to bring in a little bit of that medium tone and then back to that lighter tone and just give this a nice blend. Now the reason I'm using the alcohol-based markers for this project is because it is going on an ornament and I want it to be fade proof. If you're using the watercolor pens or the Zig clean color pens that I normally use, you could get some fading over time. Now the way to avoid that would be to spray your project with a fixative so that that doesn't happen, but I didn't have any fixative in my current stock, so I decided to grab my alcohol-based markers and do my coloring, and again that will avoid any fading on this project. So I'm doing that same blending that we did before. And this is a pretty easy process. I'm going to next grab another marker. This is the Burnt Orange blend. So I'm using that for the beak. I'm starting with the light, then the medium, then the dark right at the very base of the beak, and then back to the light to blend that out. I've got the ice gray shades to do the area around the face there. I didn't want to use black. I just thought it would just be too dark and kind of mute out the detail. So I'm using these gray shades to do this. Again, the same process, the light, medium, dark, and then back to that light color again. And I thought that gray worked out really well. I'll use that same marker we used on the beak to do the feet. Just adding a few little shadows there. And then I'm going to take the earth brown blend and do that branch. Again, I don't know how long these freebies will be available, so if you are interested in collecting them, you may want to make your purchases. They switch out the freebies every so often, so it's really nice. I really think it's a nice idea that when you make a purchase, you can get a little free set of stamps. So keep that in mind. I've got the Alpine green, and we'll use that on the scarf. We're going to be adding a few little polka dots to this as well, so we'll give it a little bit more of a whimsical look. Again, I'm using the light, then the medium, then I'll go to that dark, and then we'll flip back to that light one and just do that blending. So you can see how quickly this goes. So now that we have this colored in, I just saw that there were a few little areas where I had a little bit of color that went over the lines. So I'm using this blender pen. This is also from Spectrum Noir. I'm basically just kind of pushing that ink back up into the image. So I'm just kind of pushing the ink up towards the image itself. Now I've got my detail scissors. We'll go ahead and cut this out, and I'm going to leave a little white border all the way around the edges. I'll use my white gel pen, add those few little polka dots that we talked about before, just to give this a little bit more of an interesting look. And then I've got my little highlights I'm going to add, and these always add a lot to your images. So let me give you a closer look at this, and isn't this bird just absolutely beautiful? Now let's grab some pattern paper. I've got 3 different ones here. These are double-sided papers, by the way, so it makes it really hard to choose which ones to use. But I'm going to grab these 3, and these are from the Christmas Journal series, Art Impressions. So this would be the Christmas Season 2 paper pack. And it's a 6x6 paper pack, and look at all these beautiful patterns you get. And I'll just quickly flip through just so you get an idea of what is included in this little pack. So let's set that aside and grab the nested circle dies, again from Art Impressions. I'm going to grab that largest one. Now you'll want to select the one that fits best on your project. So I'm going to grab this larger one, and this is the ornament I'm going to be using. It's kind of like a paper mache ornament I got at my local craft store, and I'm just checking that that circle is going to be just the right size. So again, whatever ornament you select, just make sure you select the size accordingly. So I die cut 2 of these from this beautiful wood grain paper. And I'm going to go ahead first and start off by inking up the edges of my ornament. I've got the ground Espresso Distress Oxide ink and my foam applicator tool, and I'm just going to go in far enough to cover those edges. I'm going to go all the way around both sides, and then for the side, I'm going to go a little bit darker. I want this almost to look like a slice of wood. That's pretty popular right now, those little wood grain slices for ornaments, so I thought what we'd do is recreate that only just with paper. I've got my distressing tool. This is from Holtz. You could certainly just use the edge of your scissors and just scrape it right along these edges, but I'm not sure if this tool is still available. If so, I will list and link it down below, or something similar to it. I'm using my Nuvo brush. This is a surface sweep brush. It's super soft, and I'm just going to brush off any of that excess lint from that paper. I'm going back to that foam applicator tool, and I'm going to ink up those edges. And I want to darken them up a little bit. Again, I want this to look like wood, so I'm just going to go right around those edges. And by roughing up the edges a little bit, you get more of a natural look to this. Now let's go to the nested heart dies. we will need that scallop heart, and that will be for the red polka dot paper. We're going to use the next largest heart for that other pattern paper. Let's go ahead and run those through the die cutting machine. And then I'm also going to run those same two dies through with some craft 100-pound cardstock. I just want to back these. I want to give them a little bit of substance and raise them up just a little bit. I didn't want to pop anything up for the hearts, so I'm just going to give those a little lift with that layer behind it. I'll do the same thing for this smaller one. And then we'll want to edge this as well with that ground espresso ink. So I'm going to go around the edges and again just give it a little bit more of a vintage aged look. So I did that for both of these. Now we'll be recreating this set for the back of our card, for the back of our ornament, and that will be for the sentiment. So I'm recreating those same two dies, and then I've added the next smallest heart die, and we're going to die cut that from some white Strathmore Bristol Smooth cardstock. So I went ahead and also die cut that craft cardstock just like we did before. I've backed the red polka dot and the pattern paper with the craft cardstock. I'm inking up the edges of this smaller white heart, and again this is where we're going to stamp our little sentiment. So as that ornament spins around, we'll have a cute little sentiment on the back. I'm using the Chubby Snowmen stamp set, and this is just so much fun. These are adorable. We're going to grab that one that says Winter Kisses and Christmas Wishes. And for ink, we're using the Tim Holtz Distress Archival ink in Barn Door. And I'm going to ink that up and stamp that. I did stamp that a few times just to make sure I got a nice crisp image. And again, I'm using a permanent ink just to avoid any fading on my ornament. So let's go ahead and attach these together. You can see that I had already attached my craft cardstock to these two pieces. And now we can go ahead and attach this sentiment. So you can see that gives us a nice little embellishment for the back of the ornament. Let's go ahead and glue this right in the center. Make sure our wood grain is lined up nice and straight. And I am using the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive to glue everything together. That's a nice permanent adhesive. And it does give me a little time to shift things around just to make sure everything is nice and straight. Now I want those two little holly and berry leaves, the smaller and the larger one. And that will come from the Christmas Mice set. Another adorable set that is just perfect for your Christmas ornaments. You could use any of these on your ornaments. Now that set comes with the coordinating dies. So let's go ahead and quickly stamp these. I'm just using an acrylic block to stamp these. I end up using 3 on the front of the ornament and 1 on the back. And I did restamp that one at the top there because it looked a little bit off to me. So I did that off camera. And I'll color one in on camera for you, and then I'll do the rest off camera. I'm going back to that same green that we used on the scarf. I'll start with the lighter color. Then I'll add that medium color sort of towards the middle of the leaf, and then that darker color right down the middle. And then I'll go back to the lighter color and blend that out. So again, I'm trying to keep the coloring really simple. And then we'll do those little berries, going back to that same red we used for the cardinal. And I'm just going to use the lighter colors. I'll do the 3, the light, medium, and the dark. Once these are colored in, we'll grab the coordinating dies. We can tape those down with a little bit of Post-it tape. And then I'll run these through my Sizzix Sidekick machine. Next, we can add a little bit of glaze to those berries. I'm using the Diamond Glaze from Judykins. This is just a clear glaze. Just going to place a little bit on each of those berries, and we'll set those aside to dry. So let's go ahead and finish up the ornament. We can go ahead and attach this wood grain piece right to the center. And again, I'm just lining it up so it's nice and straight. And now we can add the 2 hearts. And then for the little cardinal, I'm going to go ahead and pop that up. I'll be using the scrapbook.com double-sided foam adhesive squares. These are the smaller squares, which are really great for these little projects. I am going to make sure I place plenty of those all the way around. I'll just remove the backing on those, and then we can center that. Look how cute this is. I just love this little cardinal. So next, we can attach the sentiment to the back of our ornament. I just added a little bit of glue and centered that. I've got some baker's twine. This is just some red and white baker's twine. And I also have a little bell from the Tim Holtz series. Again, I'll list and link these below for you. And we'll just tie a cute little bow right here at the top. And that little bell is just so much fun. It just gives it a little more interest. Now once that's done, I'll just snip away any excess. Now we can add our holly leaves and berries. And again, I'm going to use 3 on the front. I did put some of those little foam squares behind these 2, so those will be popped up. And then for the third one, I'm going to tuck it underneath these 2, so I'll just glue that flat. And then for the back of the ornament, I'm going to pop this one up and just place it right below the sentiment. And I wanted to add a few gems. These are from Pink Fresh Studios, and these are the metallic pearls in the matte gold. So I thought they kind of kept with that antique-y kind of rustic looking theme, but just add a little bit of interest. So I'm going to add 3 down at the bottom and then a couple up here towards the top. And then we'll do the same thing on the back side of the ornament. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at our finished project. Again, all the products I've used today are listed and linked down below and also on my blog. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please hit the like button and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a single video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.